DaVinci Resolve 20 is here, and it is insane. Here's what this video is going to be. There is so much in this update that I'm gonna cut this video up into 3 main chunks. And even then, we still won't be able to cover everything. Sometimes people are scared with big updates that it's all new, flashy stuff, and that Resolve will just never get to the things we've been asking for a while. But the first chunk will be the things we've been asking for a while. I'm so happy for a lot of these. I know you will be too. Second chunk will be the big flashy stuff. And even then, I won't be able to cover all the big flashy stuff. But it's super cool. Lots of AI tools, which we will talk about, and we'll talk about in future videos. And then the third chunk, we'll just cover some smaller things. But even those smaller things are only a sampling of the new smaller things in this update. So be sure to stick around over the next few days for more coverage as we dive deeper into some of these specific tools, or I just, learn more about some of the cool stuff hidden in the cracks of this update. I will also be sharing videos from other Resolve creators that I like, maybe here as community posts, also on Twitter or Blue Sky. Links to those will be in the description. And I do need to say that if somehow you are not satisfied with all these dozens of new amazing tools and features in Resolve, you should probably head over to sterlingsupply.co, my website where I have dozens of free presets, templates, and plugins for DaVinci Resolve. Free presets that automatically applies easing to your animation on the edit page, or makes anything shake, or some other mean effects to paid packs like transitions, or the ability to instantly arrange 25 video clips in frame. That's pretty cool, but DaVinci Resolve 20 is cooler, so I'm going to talk about that for the rest of this video. I'm going to get started with probably the biggest feature on this list of things we've been asking for, and that is a new keyframes panel on the edit page. I have this window in the upper left-hand corner, and I also have this window I can toggle underneath my timeline. So if I come to something like this Resolve logo, I scale it down, and I set a position on zoom and scale here, come over position, zoom and scale here, and I move it down, scale it down maybe, and then hey, come even further, scale it down here, and push it back this way. We see new keyframes being populated in both of these frames. I'm gonna close this bottom one because in this top one, we also have this icon to toggle over to a keyframes curve. Wow, well, we can see that move. We can select all of those. We can apply different easings like this ease in or this ease in and out. This is just my X and Y parameters. If I go back to that list, I have this icon where I can toggle on the zoom parameters as well. You also have a quick toggle here for any of those. If you want to see the scale of this zoom better, you can do that and apply this easing. You also have this button here to pop out this window frame. So a little slowly, but we do have more UI customization here. If you want this entire thing on a second window, you can do it. Super easy to change the timing of these or add more easing. Lots of people will be talking about this keyframe editor. We've got to keep moving because the next thing I want to show off, I have this text here, and boom, we've just got, the intro from Avatar. But why does it look like this? Well, it works like this because over on the layout tab now, we have 2 checkboxes, wrap to text box and clip to text box. If I toggle on this fusion overlay, we see that text box. So I have not manually added any enters to, tab down. So if I change this box, our text automatically is, cropped with that. We can also toggle that off and have one long stream. We also have this clip. If I do something like scale up this text a whole lot, then that will clip at the edges of that, versus if we keep that clip off, it will sort of spill out above and below. It seems like an incredibly simple feature, and it might be, but we've wanted this for years. Next, a highly sought feature when it comes to render cache. A few updates ago, they added this manage render cache UI where you can search through, see how much of your hard drive your render cache is eating up and delete it there. But now, under DaVinci Resolve, Preferences, User Cache Management, we have the option, delete cache files older than a certain amount of days. And you can toggle this up or down, a week, 30 days, whatever. If it's hard for you to remember to go check out your cache management and see if you need to clear up files, you can just automatically delete them once they're probably too old for you to use anyway. I've seen tons of people specifically request this feature. Next, on both the cut page and the edit page, we have a new UI to record voiceover, and it's so easy. Here on the edit page, I have this new icon over here by our timeline controls and the toggle for that new keyframes window. If I click this, I get this pop-up where you can hear me talking now, and you can choose a new custom name for the file you are creating, what input you want, and what track you want that audio recorded to. I don't think I'll mess up anything by trying this now, but if I just click this, you also have some really important options up in this 3-dot menu up here. So if I just go click that, click, 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 cool, okay, stop it. And then, hey, let's go click that, click, 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 cool, okay. Super, super easy. And it looks a little different over on the cut page, but functions pretty similarly as well. The icon lives here instead, and some of those options are just stored in different places around here. Finally, there is an update and sort of expansion to the general transcription features. They're saying that the base transcription is improved, which is great, and they're calling it extended language support. So they're rolling out transcription to tons of new languages. Shout out to all my Polish people in the comments who are requesting support. Polish is on the list, as well as Czech and some other things that I have seen specifically requested. Super cool for everyone who has access to this feature and wants to use it wherever they are in the world, if they're on the list. There's lots of people on the list. That's already incredible, and that was just the first section of things I've seen people requesting, sometimes for a long time. But now we need to talk about specific shiny new things. And boy, are they shiny. Oh, no. Oh, wait. There was one more. I missed it because I had a different timeline for it. If you are in a vertical timeline, you have a new button over on this side of the screen that, boop, gives you this vertical view, or it keeps your inspector over here. But you can just sort of fill that. So if you want it off, both 1 and 2 viewers still. Keeps your media pool up here, your timeline. So you can get a lot more screen real estate for editing vertical video content. It's not the full sweeping UI customization that I have seen some people ask for, but I think this is gonna be really, really nice for people who just want to use their screen real estate for vertical video content. Could be small, could be super impactful for the people who use it. Okay, that was the stuff I've seen people specifically request. Now, shiny new stuff. I don't have a super great order for these. Lots of these are labeled as AI tools, and lots of them touch on audio in some regards. Let's dive in. It's cool. The first thing we're going to look at is AI MultiCam Smart Switch. So I've rigged up a MultiCam here. I pulled the clip from a D&D show I like, Dimension 20. They did a season during COVID, so their main stream was just all of them in Zoom boxes. So to show this off, I rendered smaller videos, zoomed in to just 3 of these windows where they have a small conversation. But the idea is to use this with any multicam. So if you have like a wide cam of 2 people that you're interviewing, or something like a roundtable discussion, once you have all of that synced in a multicam, if I open up that multicam, come to this multicam window, I have a new option here for AI MultiCam Smart Switch. Once I click this, I have tons of cool options. And what this tool will do, this is an interesting example because I still only have one master audio file. So it is not going to look at the different audio files attached to the different cameras, although it can do that, and that I believe is even the main way this tool functions, but it will also assess the raw video clips to look for people talking, for their lips moving, and try to match that to the audio that it's referencing. So we have controls for the minimum edit duration and the edit change delay, as well as a wide angle setup. This is super cool. It will recognize which of those is that sort of master wide angle, which we will see. It will detect it for this sort of demonstration and switch whether you want to switch only video or video and audio. I'm gonna change this quality to better. Okay, and then when I click analyze, it will do its thing, and it will chop up this multicam on my timeline for me. You can see my little demo over here, but we will let it do its thing. And we have cuts on our timeline. And if I just play this, it starts on this wide automatically. We had a setting for starting and ending on this wide.
For all of you at home, if you're watching this again, months or years after the fact, that's what's going on right now.
If you found this VHS tape in a heap of rubble as you uncovered the Statue of Liberty.
Please piece together the mystery of why this webcast was downloaded onto a VHS tape.
Me. It was me. I'll admit it now.
Emily did it.
So cool. There have been some third parties that have done this kind of thing. This natively built into Resolve, I know lots of people are gonna love. Let's move on to maybe the flashiest new feature in this update, and that is Voice Convert. This is the big AI territory now, and I know people will have mixed opinions, but what this allows you to do, I fed it just a 10-minute segment of a video of my tutorial, and I did that in my media pool. If you just right click on a clip you want to use, you can come to AI Tools, DaVinci AI Voice Training, and that will go through this whole process where it looks at your clip and tries to train this model off of what you feed it. Very important to note, it does give you this pop-up saying like, hey, here's how this tool works. Don't be a doofus about it. Make sure you have the full rights to the audio you are using. But the workflow and the possibilities for this tool are really exciting, especially for some small things like ADR. But once you go through that process of generating a voice clip, to show it off, I pulled in an old video from DaVinci Resolve showing off DaVinci Resolve 14. So their main video.
Performance improvements, advanced Fairlight audio post-production, incredible new multi-user collaboration tool.
Is cool, it's great, but if I scroll in and go to that video, I will delete this little sneaky thing down here, right click and go to voice convert, then we get a new pop-up asking what you want to do with the file you generate. I'm generally liking adding this to a new file, what you want to name that, and then the voice model. We have some defaults, but we also have the model I generated off my video. So if I click this, choose whether I want tight matching, which they say accounts for things like pitch, intonation, and volume variation. If I just leave that on for now and click render, it will generate a new audio clip. This has been pretty fast for me, at least on my nicer system. So if I go in and toggle off, as a reminder, this is the original video.
DaVinci Resolve 14 is the biggest update in its entire history.
And then with my voice,
DaVinci Resolve 14 is the biggest update in its entire history, and
pretty cool. I do want to note, I did tag on some small EQ, sort of in this mid or higher mid range. In this quick test I did, my voice was coming out a little robotic-y. If I toggle this off, maybe you'll hear.
it is designed to revolutionize and completely change the way post-production is done. DaVinci Resolve 14 adds major performance improvements.
So you can see when I toggle on that EQ, it feels a little more natural. I might take another swing at generating that voice model later to see if I can give it, better data to generate that. But this is looking at that original for those things like intonation and, really interestingly, accents. So, for fun, I pulled in this vlog from friend of the show, Mr. Alex Tech. This is him talking about his life.
So the next big thing, anyway, is I'm getting an office. So we are finally moving out of the little spare room.
But hey, what would it look like if I grew up, or what would it sound like if I grew up down the street from Mr. Alex Tech?
So the next big thing, anyway, is I'm getting an office. So we are finally moving out of the little spare room in my house, which is where I've been making all my YouTube videos for the past however many years, long time now.
Of course, this can be fun, but like I said, those like ADR or other professional environments can absolutely take advantage of this. Moving on is maybe, I keep saying these are like the big features, but is maybe the other big flashy feature, IntelliScript. This is wild. You have to start with your raw footage. So what I did is I sort of like mocked up like a skit you might see. It's not like a funny or something, but a skit you might see on social media, just like filming yourself from two different angles. And I even ran those lines like back to back, like from a single angle, if that makes sense. So I have two clips here. And if I select these two clips, right click and go to AI Tools, create new timeline using IntelliScript, it will have me navigate to a script. And I just did like a plain text, one line, next line, one line, next line. And once I click open, it will do its thing and generate a new timeline. And kind of like the initial implementation of some like transcription tools, this has been a little overeager in some places, but let me pull up that script just for fun. This is all I fed it. I named myself Ed and Dan. I don't know if that was important, but hey, are you going to that thing tomorrow? What thing? That all-you-can-eat taco fair down? Oh yeah, I'd really like to. Cool, we leave at noon. Okay, see you then. So a little overeager, but hey, toggle on your controls. Oh, yeah. Give yourself a little room to breathe on some of these. And then, hey, are you going to that thing tomorrow? What thing? That all-you-can-eat taco fair downtown? Oh yeah, I'd really like to. Cool, we leave at noon. Okay, see you then. And you might notice, what are all these grayed out things on my timeline? Well, those are the alternate takes it recognized. So something like that all-you-can-eat taco fair downtown. Toggle that off, toggle this on. That all-you-can-eat taco fair downtown. Also clip this one, but if you give it space. Taco fair downtown. Or this other one. know that all you can eat taco fare down. You can eat taco fare down. Oh yeah. Maybe more space. Fare downtown. Oh. It recognizes alternate takes and also stores those on your timeline. Like you're seeing in this implementation here, it can be a little over-eager, but you have these basic editing tools to trim and shuffle around. And for something like an initial quick cut, especially with multiple takes, this is super cool. Feed it the clips, feed it the script. Oh, okay, we're moving on. Here I have a simple mock-up of a full music track and my raw recording for a recent video, and we're gonna show off the audio assistant. This is not a great perfect example for the audio assistant because the audio assistant can actually do much, much more. I've got a new blank timeline here, and if I do something like drag on a segment from a recent tutorial and a completely fresh audio source that is normally way too loud without touching anything else. I also don't have like sound effects or other things that would make this like really show off this tool. But if I go to timeline, AI tools, audio assistant, it asks for this delivery standard to account for like the loudness stuff. It's kind of techy, I don't super understand. But if I click audio mix, then it will classify that audio. And you can see it already pulled down the volume of that music track. It is analyzing my dialogue and it's gonna do all kinds of stuff there. Try to make this music play nice with my voice. It is shaping the music and it's running. I kind of wish I had a better idea of all of what this is doing behind the scenes. I am a little bit more of an audio head, if that's a thing, so I would like to know and maybe have control to tinker after the fact. This does kind of seem like a one and done, and like if you want to dive deeper, maybe like it's an either or, like either you do this or you dive deeper manually. But now, today I want to share with you all my favorite workflow tip for DaVinci. It pulled out the volume, and especially when this audio gets big. Now in this standard layout I have here, my camera is, you can hear some auto ducking going on. The settings for recording that are always exactly the same. I have my camera right here. Maybe this audio is still even a little loud for what I would prefer, but like something like volume you can definitely change after. The settings for that are exactly the same. Ducking, pulling it back up. I would love to throw a much larger, more complicated audio scene at this tool and see what I think about it. But like a lot of these other tools, this is an area I can see them also improving on over time to great effect. But for now, AI Audio Assistant is up and running and it's super cool. One thing, I don't think I have a great example to show off. I'm on the Fairlight page now, and if I right click and go to AI tools, we have some more options here, the Dialog Matcher. You can create a dialogue profile if you shot a scene and one scene had a certain amount of like reverb or the audio was just styled a certain way. You can capture a dialogue profile from one audio source and put it on another. Seems super cool. I don't feel like I'm greatly positioned to show that off. I'll be looking for a super great example of this from some of my other Resolve editor peeps. But once you capture it, you can apply that and then you can very easily toggle that on or off here. But this next option under AI tools, Checkerbox to new track, that is something I'm super excited to show off. You can see it working over here. Oh, and for this, I pulled in a clip of a great podcast, Creative Herd, run by more friends of the show, Jake and Spencer. So they just had a podcast episode. So I just have this one video, right?
Final Cut, like when I'm doing that, I want to be in Final Cut.
And like they all talk over the course of this little clip, but say I wanted specific audio post-processing on them independently. Well, they were all recorded on one audio track. What are we gonna do? Like go through and like manually cut up when each one is talking and change it to a different track? We might have used to, but now we can come to Fairlight and right click, go to AI Audio Tools Checkerboard to new tracks. And oh, that was fast. I don't know whether that saved from some processing from before. That might have saved some processing from when I did this first time, because that was too fast. That was too fast. It will probably, maybe it full transcribes the video to look around. It's not going to be that fast. It'll be that fast once it does it once. But then,
and what I was going to say is,
we can see we have 3 little tracks. So Jake is talking on this first track.
I do think
there are guests talking on the second track.
I'll pull it out, but.
And then Spencer on this third track.
That's what I'm going with.
Yep.
And you could toggle on individual effects for just a single track.
I'll pull it out, but I also.
Does it work as an
inside your computer.
You can see if it gets too tight, then, you know, it can't like separate them talking over each other. But I'm really impressed with how like clearly it cut up these different speakers to different tracks. This is so useful to sort of explode one track out into multiple tracks for as many different people speaking in your scene. It's cool. Ooh, but one other thing I did want to show off, if I grab one of those audio tracks I was looking at earlier, we have another feature that could have ended up on the list of everything people were requesting, and that is living over in Inspector. We have AI Music Editor. Ooh, this is the one. This is the thing from Premiere that people want. Okay, you click Adjust, which is sort of like an Analyze button as well. It will analyze this music track, and you can see it adds a new sort of squiggly over here at the end. But we have a few ways to interact with this. I can do something like manually type in the target length we are going for. If I just want to add 2 minutes, click Adjust, and boom, it adds that 2 minutes. It finds a place to loop. It even gives you built-in 4 alternate versions. It looks like this right on the end, mostly for timing. It can be hard to get precise timing if it needs to like match to the beat and things like that. We manually entered that target length, but we also have this live trim option. So if I pull it back to something like in the middle, it will find a place to end there. Or if I pull this much farther, it will find places to loop all along the way. Maybe this should have been the big one on things people have been requesting, because I've seen so many people request this and now it's in Resolve. The next is also a request thing, but it's also really cool. Okay, check this out. A much better way to handle animated subtitles and even much crazier animated subtitles. I have my timeline here. I'm gonna go to timeline. What am I? AI tools create subtitles from audio. This is unchanged so far. If I create it, it will run through my timeline, add default subtitles to a subtitle track, right? This is what we have had for a while. But if we open up our effects library, we have a new subtitles folder here under titles, and you drag these right to this little area of the timeline, the subtitle 1 like track layer. And what this can do is create an instance of whatever Fusion title you drag into it for every one of these included titles. So something like this, it's not animated, but it just has a little more stuff going on. These don't need to be animated. I could go in and grab something like these word art titles I created. And if I pull them down, then it would be hard to see, but hey, word art title subtitles. But I want to show off theirs. So under subtitles, in there we have animated, and we have a few select ones. And if I grab something like this statement, drop it on there, check this out. I'll use audio. Today, I want to share with you all my favorite workflow tip for DaVinci Resolve. And this, not only are the titles animated, but we are having that individual word by word animation. The stuff going on behind the scenes for this is nuts. It will take me a long time to wrap my head around it, but if you hop over to the track layer, you see the custom Fusion controls. You can do something like change the color of this background if you would like. And really importantly, you have these controls up here, whether you want something like write on words, so you only see it after it has been spoken the first time, so it kind of like trails along as it goes on. If the transcription recognizes a speaker you have labeled, you have this show speaker option as well. These are their batch of animated subtitles. If I try it with something, if I drop on Subtitle Pro, can I create one live? If I pull this down, pull it down, and on animation, yeah, this isn't word by word, but it will be each section. And this you can very easily toggle on if you don't like scale and you want it to slide, or even just like a little bit of shake. Ooh, this little thing I created is now much cooler. If you want it just for each like whole section of the video. I haven't super messed with this. It's an area I absolutely want to dive in, but especially when you first jump in, these animated ones are included. We have this statement, we have this word highlight, which just changes the color here. Slide in, rotate, lollipop, which is sort of like the Z pivot kind of deal. Some really cool new included animating subtitles. And even though it might take a little bit, I'm seeing lots of people create new presets, especially with this word by word action. I know I definitely will stick around for that. But like several other things, people have absolutely requested this. These built ones do that word by word, but you could always pull down the length of how many words you want on screen at a time and, animate that a little more easily with sort of our collective Fusion knowledge. But super cool, but we need to keep moving because, gosh, we still have a lot to talk about. This one, you can kind of see where we're going. But if you have a music track on your timeline, right click, new option, show music beats, click that. It will do its thing, and then it will show you all the individual beats. So if you have to, snapping is automatically on for those. So if you want to do something like snap just for those beats, you can super easily do that, and then those are just living there, and you can always toggle those off or on as needed. It doesn't like cut to the beat for you, but hey, just like giving you a place to easily snap to the beat. There we go. Ooh, very cool. Footage will snap to those lines, but your playhead does not, which makes sense because when there's a lot of those, that would get choppy really quick. Some new stuff I want to call out, but I won't specifically show off. We have a new AI upscale, a 3 and 4 times sort of like AI upscale option. Previously, we had that 2x enhance that was sort of like AI-ish, and now we have 3 and 4. If you need to upscale footage natively in Resolve, I'd absolutely check that out. That is, if you don't know an inspector, all the way down here, we have AI super scale, which you can toggle on and check that out. The smooth cut transition, which kind of warps between frame, now has a speed warp AI option. Okay, let's try this and see how it handles really, really weird things, like me dressed in 2 different outfits. If I have a transition here, let me find my transition. This is called a smooth cut. Oh, that does funky stuff. I don't know if this is this new feature or if there's a different way to toggle on that speed warp AI. I don't know if, oh, speed warp button. So that's kind of what it was before. A little more funky, but also this is a bad example for this option. Let me do something like cutting within a single clip, which makes sense. This frame to this frame. It's harsh, but if I toggle on speed warp now, oh, my hands are still doing some funky stuff. Without speed warp, yeah, oh, it just like fades. So mileage may vary, but you have a new option here. The magic mask, specifically on the color page, is now like a full magic mask v2. I tried it out, super cool. It also has a really awesome option for like a per frame kind of like paint in or paint out. You also don't make a stroke anymore, you just drop a point. I'm kind of saving more info on that for when hopefully eventually they bring that over to the Fusion page. It does seem faster, it does seem like a super legit update, and along with that, the depth map got a proper v2. Again, right now I believe just in the color page. I want to show off something. If I grab something like, hey, little image of Mario, hop into the Fusion page, magic mask, Mario. So we just get our guy with hands. Time speed after that, so I don't actually need to track that. Okay, we have a Mario with edges. We have a new option in the warper node. This new option is this curves mode. And this, also kind of a requested feature. This is gonna be, I think, as close as we get to the puppet tool from After Effects. If I do something like just set some key points, go arm in, out, around his head, da 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 da. I haven't used the puppet tool in a long time, so I'm not super sure like best practices for that thing. But if I really quick sketch out this Mario, come to warp, select multiple points, then and actually preview it, then you can move his arm. It does warp these points because those are kind of like not super tight. Like I said, I haven't touched the puppet tool in a long time, so you'll have to tell me how precise that needs to be. But if you want to make Mario dance a little jig, the warper tool with this curves mode is now I think your best option. Also, somehow weirdly the big Fusion options. I'm also not in a great place to show off, even though Fusion is kind of my whole deal. There's a new vector warp in Fusion that I believe is like really targeted toward like paint in effects, or maybe it kind of feels from their description that it's kind of like the planar tracking workflows, but handles it a little differently. I will absolutely dive more into that. Maybe that'll be an upcoming video. But as well as new tools for sort of like 180 video editing in Fusion, those beefed up, as well as deep compositing tools, which for my understanding is like legit big boy compositing, like pro level stuff that I really don't have any experience in, but I'm told it's very cool and that we're getting some serious updates for that. So that's very cool for those people. I think those are the big picture stuff I wanted to talk about. If there was something that really caught your eye that you want me to go deeper into, leave a comment. But I want to wrap up with some relatively minor stuff that is still very cool, and for some of you, might be just as big a deal as some of this other stuff. Like I said, we're starting small but cool. On the edit page, if you scroll in with your mouse in this viewer, it now scrolls specifically to where your pointer is. It didn't used to do that. You would need to zoom and then like reposition from the center. Now it does, and that's super nice. On the edit page, we now have this source tape option, which previously was only available on the cut page, but you can see these lines here, and make sure I'm muted, are these completely different pieces of media that are living in my media pool. So you can scrub through all of those. This is super awesome for stuff like event work where you're just dealing with lots of B-roll and you just want to go through it all, grab some selects. You can just sort of look at it in one major timeline, scroll through. This is really awesome with the speed editor. And this was a feature that was living on the cut page. Lots of people wanted it on the edit page. Source tape is on the edit page. Also, you have the option to selectively sync originals in projects that otherwise only pull proxies. So a workflow that is super awesome for this. Say you have your main desktop or your main editor on a desktop working with full resolution files. You are on a laptop or even iPad, but you have like the full resolution logo that you need to use in your video. Previously, if you drag that image onto your timeline on your laptop, it would only upload a proxy of that timeline. I'm actually not sure how it handles images. Okay, but say you were using a video, it would only upload that proxy. But now, if you are sort of working on your proxy system, but need to send something back to your main system, it needs to be at full resolution. Now you can toggle that on, super cool. One option that I've seen some people be really excited for, even though I don't have a great use case for it, right click on this other timeline, I can open in timeline with source viewer. And you'll notice my playhead here is blue and I cannot edit. I cannot change anything in this timeline. It's read only and it's showing up in this first timeline viewer. But if I toggle on something like stacked timelines, that can be one timeline and my main timeline can be down here. If I have a timeline where lots of work, maybe it's ongoing, maybe it's just a timeline of selects, I can do something like set in and out points here and pull them down into this other timeline down here. The point being you can view this timeline as source only, kind of like a whole piece of media, and then have that interact with other timelines however you want. If I've got big pro editors who are really excited for this, I know lots of people like who have worked in Avid really like this. I would love to know more examples of why this is super cool. It seems nice. I want to know why it's cool. And last thing, which is very small, super niche to me, but very cool. If I pull a random clip into the Fusion page, I cut it, I open it in the Fusion page, you'll notice this little sequence now starts at a frame of 0. It didn't used to do this. Frame 0 used to be the beginning of the whole little clip. And this alone is a nice little small update, but you also have the option to select this starting frame. That is somewhere else. That lives over in File, Project, Settings. Under Fusion, you have this default start frame. This is most useful for people who want to dabble in creating those sort of Fusion effects or templates or presets. Long story short, the previous way things were done made it very hard to manually place things like keyframes on an effect that you wanted to drop on like several miscellaneous parts in a clip, because it would pull random frame numbers. If this was a hassle or a pain point for you, you know how painful it could be. If you don't, just know they made some Fusion things really nice. And especially because I won't use some of the other big Fusion stuff, this might be what I get for Fusion for this update. And it's very cool. I did get those animated captions, subtitles. Those were cool. Oh wow, that is the bottom of my list. I also feel like I was talking fast, so we covered lots of really cool stuff. But like I said, there's still more. I even just talked about some without super showing them off. I'm super excited for this update. I'm pretty excited for, some of the discourse. Lots of AI stuff here, something like that AI voice swap. What was it called? Voice convert could be super powerful, super useful for the right workflows. But I have a feeling it might be a little controversial. I'll probably do a video just about the AI side of things, maybe after I'm showing off some more particulars and maybe some other cool things I find, just as everyone talks about the cool stuff they saw in the update. So stick around for more coverage of DaVinci Resolve 20, and of course, all videos on this channel going forward, even miscellaneous tutorials, will be in DaVinci Resolve 20. Let's see what we can find. Let's keep making cool stuff in DaVinci Resolve. Let me know in the comments what you want to hear more about. Like I talked about earlier, a link will be in the description to sterlingsupply.co. If you want to check out any of my work, help support this ongoing work and the channel and my plugins and all of that. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It means a ton. I hope you stick around for other stuff. I think updates for Resolve are always super cool, super exciting. Hopefully you do too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.